was cash rich, credit poor. I needed a car. And me learning how to, buy stuff, no money down, or no credit, no, into a real business and make a lot of money
Yes.
rather than going to get cash or going to get a loan. They have an
Yes.
opportunity to come on and use creative as an exit strategy or an entry strategy.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to Be the Connection podcast, where we dive into stories of community, mentorship, and success. My mission is to bring you inspiring conversations, real insights, and the kind of value that helps you grow. So grab a seat, settle in, and let's get connected. Welcome to Be the Connection, where we share stories of community, mentorship, and success. And today's guest is a jack of all trades in the real estate realm: wholesaling, buy and hold, co-living, and even transaction coordination. But what he's really known as is the SubTo Car Guy. So thank you, Mike Davis, for coming in.
Appreciate
Welcome.
you having me, B.
Of course. What got you into real estate in the first place?
So what got me to real estate in the first place was I really just looking for alternative means to freedom because the 9 to 5 space and what I was doing at the time felt undervalued and felt limited, and I needed to do something different. My skills outside of corporate America, like I'm in the music space and that kind of industry, and that's already in and of itself a world to deal with funds and everything. But it's my heart, and I'd do it for free if I wanted to. But in terms of the wealth space, is like 90% of the world's millionaires make their money in real estate, and YouTube University did it up during the pandemic and started from there.
Yeah. So you said you were in the music industry back then?
Yeah. I still am, now, but in the space where it's like we actually have like pretty solid stuff going on. I'm known locally and I've worked on a major scale. We've had some successes and things like that, but it's just a different type of industry. And the real estate space is a lot more structured. So I kind of like that and still like that freedom where you can work as hard and make as much as you want.
Yes. So tell me, which strategy did you start off with when you were doing real estate?
Wholesaling.
Wholesaling?
Wholesaling. I come from a sales background, so to me, just bumping on the phones and going door to door wasn't nothing unfamiliar, and that was the easiest way for me to get in, and that's how I started making money.
Nice. So when doing that, you started little by little, I mean, because you're known as the SubTo Car Guy.
Mhm.
So what got you to that point?
Yeah, it seemed like an awkward transition, but like the story is pretty organic after starting the wholesale journey. And learning about creative finance. Pace is such a go-giver. He always teaches. But when he talked about the car stuff, he never really went into detail on it. Most of us, we heard the F-150 story. That was an easy analogy for us to understand creative on anything, but mainly real estate was the point. In 2022, he had dropped in documents on SubTo Cars, just contracts. And he never made a video on it or anything. At that point, I was cash rich, credit poor. I needed a car, and me learning how to buy stuff, no money down, or no credit. No, took the paperwork, started reverse engineering it, started calling around insurance companies, DMVs. So got mixed reviews. But long story short, it was like you can kind of sort of, but you got to do it a certain way. Blah blah blah. That was enough for me, and I ended up trying it. Right, matches a bunch of people on Facebook Marketplace, got nowhere. Needed a car at that time, and said screw it. Went to get a dealership loan. Trash. Had a meetup a few days later in Orange County, hosted by my guy Rich. And after the meetup, me and him were just chopping it up, and I was like, "Yeah, bro, it's so crazy. I created finance, just da 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 da." I'm still probably a year and sub to bright eyed, bushy tail. Like this is amazing, right? I'm making money. He was like, "Bro, why don't you try Turo groups? Because the Turo market is
Mm.
changing completely." And that same light bulb went in my head. I was like, "Oh my god, why did I think of this?" Went home that same day, made one post in a Turo group. It went viral. Hundreds of cars. People were willing to have me take over payments. Like I just made one post. Like, we'll, buy your car. Don't care if it's underwater, whatever the case was. And so many people were cool with leaving it in their name. Exotic cars to basics and everything in between. I was like, damn, this is crazy. Obviously, the problem is bigger than myself. I didn't want to do a whole bunch of them because I still didn't have a process. And by the time he's seeing that, go back to wholesale mind. Let me go ahead and take this problem to the buyers. They bring the solution in. Same thing, made a post buyers. That post went viral. A whole bunch of people was like, yeah, let's do it. And at that point, I was like, damn, this is crazy. And came up with a process, simple one to start, secure some money in the middle, and was like, yo, this is probably the easiest fast cash I've ever made. And it's cool because everybody I'm doing it with, they're all like, yo, this is genius. And through that, started dealing with the process, had to learn the hard way through how insurance is really supposed to be set up, how the DMV process really works, how, like payment systems and how, protection and what's in the paperwork. At that time, it was very early versions of the documentation. And I realized how much was missing. and how much stuff that we needed to, modify. So I got on the phone with Sean St. Clair through Molly and started like, hey, we have to modify this. So that's where like updated versions came in. Molly and I did the training inside of SubTo, just teaching people like the mistakes that I made, the things you don't do, as well as everything you should do and how the process is supposed to go. So it kept evolving. Then over time, I kept sharing everything that I knew, and people benefited from it, and they were doing deals themselves. And then I kind of just came to like, hey, talk to Mike, talk to Mike, talk to Mike. At that point, it became a side gig, for a while, make some extra cash, and then it got to the point where it's like, oh damn, like you can turn this into a real business and make a lot of money from it. So that's kind of the overall
You
journey.
built that bridge between people who are needing something and people who have it. Can you tell me a little bit about those challenges? Like, obviously there was always progression, right?
One of the biggest principles that we deal with in real estate is like, as a wholesaler, we bring deals together, but we want to protect our interests so much we don't ever introduce the buyer or the seller. There's no communication between them. And the house don't move nowhere. A lot of times sellers don't really give a damn. They don't even want to talk to the person. They hire a realtor to handle all of this stuff. So there's all these middle parties, but then a deal gets done and down the line, an issue comes up. The deal is actually done between the actual buyer and the seller. But the people who bought it together, since they've shielded that, the seller ends up calling the realtor or calling the wholesaler to handle the problem. And the wholesaler can't get a hold of the buyer. So now let's say the buyer goes ghost. The wholesaler's on the hook for it, and the wholesaler's the problem. I started to realize for vehicles, it's naturally more risky. Sellers are already more wary about it. And I tried to do the same wholesale mindset, and then I got blamed for stuff that buyers were doing wrong. And I was just like, no, hold on, how about this? Let's go ahead and introduce the buyer and the seller together before any deal is done. Transparency started to become the standard for what we were doing. We really got to be super transparent about everything. There's no more like, oh, we want to protect our fee and everything. Like we've built it, and we built the process so strong now where people understand the need for a third party to come in and make it happen. But then also the deal is done between the buyer and the seller ultimately, where the seller has the ability to vet this person, right? So you spoon feed them the best kind of candidates. If there's an accident, if there's an insurance lapse, issue going down at the DMV, like all of these things, the buyer and the seller can handle that. That is a huge, huge thing that we had to overcome, because now it started to help me realize, why the hell don't we do this in real estate? People are so concerned with how much money they're going to make in the middle, an issue with the middle person not expressing or showing the value that they're giving. And it could be a little bit of greed in there, right? You want to make sure you don't have problems down the line, or people don't come back to you. The other challenge was prepping people for the issues that can come up. Prepping people for understanding what happens if an accident comes up. Like, we've been through all of it. Like, we've had cars totaled. There's been situations where like buyers have ran off, scam, like all. I've seen it. I've seen everything that can go left. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. What's the best advice that you would give someone when going into a transaction like this?
Be open and transparent, really.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Like, everything else kind of falls into place. You want to make sure you vet both parties. That includes the seller, needs to be vetted just as much as the buyer. Make sure you're using the proper documentation. Make sure you clear understanding of what the deal is and what it isn't, right? Like how the title works, how registration works, how the DMV works, how insurance has to get set up, permissions. And if you don't know, you work with somebody that does know. As long as you know what you're getting into, you understand the risk, you understand the rewards, cool, man, go ahead and do it. It's a whole nother strategy that solves so many problems, right? Rather than going to get cash or going to get a loan, they have an opportunity to come on and use creative as an exit strategy or an entry strategy. I've helped Turo hosts like get out of tens of cars. Same thing with buyers coming in who make a crap ton of money but don't have a normal credit presence, or maybe be an immigrant, or maybe, they don't just use their stuff like that. They come in, get a very high quality vehicle, no credit. You know what I'm saying? So there's so many different problems that this solves. You can use it on anything.
Yeah. Have you done a plane yet?
We're working on a couple.
Yeah. Has there been anything that you haven't done so far?
A yacht, a houseboat. We've done 140 plus deals at this point. I've seen the exotics, the Lamborghinis, McLarens, the Bentleys, the Porsches, those kinds, to your regular Mercedes, Audi, Beamers, to the Honda, Toyota Corolla, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter, because like the car doesn't matter. It's the deal.
Yes. Did you ever see yourself, were you already into cars when you came into this, or did you kind of have to learn about the different vehicles?
Nah, I mean, I like cars and stuff. I always loved cars as a kid, like fast cars and stuff like that. I always have. But the space of like selling cars, but now just understanding like this is a solution to a huge problem, and the car just happens to be the thing.
What really helped you during the stage of learning and growing through those challenges that you did with, the process?
Research, development, a little bit of trial and error, and then the community.
Yes.
People continuously showing support, tagging me and stuff, and be like, "Hey, you saw this, you saw that." So I see a lot more problems, and then over time, you become a master at it. And then seeing examples like Pace, right, whereas like nothing really is impossible. And then of course now with AI, it's a whole lot easier to solve stuff.
Do you feel like it's changed you as an investor switching from wholesaling houses to wholesaling vehicles, or doing the transaction coordination for vehicles now?
I still do wholesale houses, and I still do like transact on houses and stuff like that too. But I think overall it has switched my mind because it's opened my mind up to like what's really possible. Like it's one thing to hear Pace say you can sub to anything, but then you go in and you start applying this stuff, and you like, damn, you really can do
Yeah.
creative finance on anything. Like it really does
Yes.
work. I don't have to be bound by the system that just doesn't really serve me like that, especially if the economy is going through so many changes and the old system who changes extremely slow isn't moving fast enough to keep up with the changes that are moving super super rapid. I can make a fair deal directly with somebody who sees the same thing I see, and we can make a deal that we're happy with. Any way you want to get around, and we see it across any way you want to lay your head.
You're saying anybody could do this. You don't have to be as big as Pace. You don't have to be, just anybody can do this. As long as you apply yourself, you go out there and you start doing the work.
Absolutely.
That's good. I like that. And now you mentioned, going out there, getting the work,
Mm.
making those connections, communicating, and that's big about being transparent. So when it came to relationships, right? So you have the seller, you have the buyer, you want to make sure that they build that trust. How has that played into where you are right now?
Yeah, I mean, like this business is a relationship based business, right? It has really given me clarity and the value that I can bring to people. I've introduced people who didn't know each other before, and now they're doing business together, making money together. The car just happened to be the attachment to it. You're able to bridge a gap of so many problems using this one problem that you're able to solve that nobody else really wanted to solve. So, like coming up with a whole
Yes.
system and a process that now can become an entire viable exit strategy, entry strategy. Like that's huge. Like we're trying to build industry and build a niche. It forces me to be more transparent and real with people. If it create genuine connections, relationships really do matter.
I love it. Where not only can you get a car out of it, you get multiple businesses, a partner, you get so many things out of this. Just thank you, because the world needs more people like you. Like, this is huge. You can't get anywhere without any type of vehicle. Our family grew. Oh, we no longer fit this small car. We need to get a bigger vehicle. People are willing to just, yeah, here you go. Here you go. There is options out there where you're not having to like go do something to where it just doesn't benefit you.
Right, right.
Obviously, transparency is huge. Is there any other approach that you use or do to help build those relationships and keep them long term?
15, 18. Some of them, but the RVs, they can be real long. Same thing with a plane, right?
Yes.
Whether a relationship's a year or 20 years, if it starts off wrong, it's going to end up wrong.
Mm.
Even if it starts off right, it'll end up right. Coming into the deals with transparency and vetting, make sure that the deals are still viable. I think people get it misconstrued that you can just show up, never have any real record of doing right by anybody, probably also have a record of doing wrong by anybody, and then just come in and say, you know what, screw it, now I'm gonna use creative and do the same thing. Like you're probably gonna repeat the same patterns. So
Yes.
we filter people out like that when it comes to us, and we tell any seller, even if they don't use us or anything like that, just best practices to make sure that you set yourself up for long-term success. I use the same analogy all the time. It's kind of like buying a house and then turning around and renting it out. You bought a crib, now you need to protect your investment, vetting your tenants. Find a great tenant, they're going to pay you for life. Take care of the property, treat it like it's theirs, pay your mortgage down. Even if they turn over, it's going to be minimal to keep it up for the next tenant coming in. If you find a great tenant, they pay you for life. Inversely,
Yes.
you find you a bad tenant, they're going to destroy your investment, right? It's costly and you're not going to want to deal with it. And then you're going to be a distressed seller. So it's the same thing with a vehicle. Find a great vetted buyer, they'll take care of you. You find a bad one, it's going to be an issue. So make sure that you set it up proper so that you get the best thing for the jump. Just because you're not using a bank or just because it doesn't affect your credit or anything like that doesn't mean you just willy-nilly do a deal with anybody without knowing who you get in bed with. So we have like a 3-stage vetting process, very in depth. We make sure that we got solid people. That's what I would recommend anybody to do.
Vetting them 3 times, 3 steps, 3 ways to vet that person. What's another advice for someone who's probably feeling lost because they're just, this is new to them. They're like, what? You could do this with vehicles?
You kill the ignorance through education. So for anybody coming in, you got to learn what this is. We have the free Facebook community. That's the Top Method. It's facebook.com/group/Top Method. It's the official SubTo Car community. You can come in there. You can learn a lot of stuff for free. If you're not in like the communities, right? Because of course we got to pay all to get in. But for the free spaces, there's plenty of resources that you can come in. I would highly recommend educating yourself. If you have a deal that you need help with, work with somebody who does. Like my company, Top Wheels, we specialize in this. We're more than happy to jump you on the line, walk you through how the process works, how to protect yourself, where you can find deals if you're looking for as a buyer. If you're a seller, how to maximize your profit or maximize your deal so you can minimize how much you come out of pocket with, if any, and then you're walking in with an understanding. If you don't know anything about this, don't just wing it. There's no point. We have plenty of resources to make sure you don't wing it because we've already winged it and figured out the processes and things that have ruined the whole deal. So just make sure I'm saying, like, you don't go in blind. That's all.
When I buy a vehicle or when I'm doing any type of TCO work, I'm like, hey, Mike, I know who to go to because I just don't want to risk that. A lot of people think that they can do it on their own.
Yeah.
Like you see people are doing on their own. It's like, no, this is something that you've really focused in on and built from the ground up, a process that will make it seamless, right? Tell me more about your business. No, a lot of people know like you and you do this, but what about Top Wheels?
Well, Top Wheels is a creative transaction coordination facilitation service where we specialize in executing these deals. We also co-own sellerfinance.io, which is the platform that you can use to find, buy, list, sell your vehicles with creative finance. Seller finance is also going to be built for real estate as well as businesses. For now, you can list vehicles, you can find vehicles doing that. And with Top Wheels, built based on what's called the Top Method. It's the proprietary process I came up with to make sure that the entirety of a deal is set up from start to finish so that you're fully protected as a seller, you're fully protected as a buyer, and the deal is solid all the way through. How insurance works, how the DMV works, what happens if somebody stops paying, accidents, somebody gets hurt, how to deal with the police, impounds, how to deal with payment systems and upfront payments, how to structure a deal so that's proper. All of that stuff is all what the Top Method actually is, and we have there's actually a training and coaching program coming out that we built. It's an 8-week course that'll be available starting June 9th. But so that'll be coming out and available for folks. But for Top Wheels, we specialize in handling these transactions. We have a couple of top tier transaction coordinators on our team, fully trained on the Top Method, that understand how to execute these deals. So we can do them for you. So you ain't got to worry about trying to figure it out. It's already done.
No. Would you change anything? Because going from what you've built, right, from where you first started, did you ever see yourself doing something like this?
Everything happens the way that it was supposed to happen, so it's not really I could change. I take it to God's will. I've learned things that if I wanted to give advice to other people so that they can, probably make better decisions or smarter decisions or do things sooner, of course I would do that. I think hindsight's 20/20 for everybody. But for me and my journey, would I change it? No. I think I'm thankful for so much perspective now. I'm in this for the long haul. I ain't really here just to try to get a couple dollars and bounce. Like I'm trying to create generational wealth for myself, my family, and my community, and be able to give back the game that we need. And for this gives me the whole perspective. Like creative finance isn't just about a house and that's the only thing we can talk about. I'm talking about a different way of living, a type of freedom that you can have that you don't have to be confined to a system. You can make a deal. Anything you're trying to do for yourself, for your peoples, for your family, like you can just do it. Anything that comes to your mind to make something happen, it can happen. And I think the real estate obviously is way more money in that, right? Bottom line. But that's one space where it's like you only thinking about the concept of real estate. And for me, now having the understanding, especially like I said, I love what Pace has built and we benefit from it so much because having a perspective of real estate and how money works and lending and all of that kind of arena, and then understanding, how you can do this with businesses. You want to buy a business, you want to sell a business, you want to do the whole nine. And then me actually going through the BS of dealing with the vehicles and like, oh, dad, this is how you do it. Like, man, I just bought a Mustang. This is the second vehicle I got on Creative Finance myself personally as a daily, and zero down, 1.9% interest. It's crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like where stuff where
Yeah.
like I'm not going to. There's nobody that's getting that rate today. You feel me?
No.
Like for stuff like that is it just completely changes my perspective that I wouldn't change any of my journey. It's not like I stopped doing real estate, you know what I'm saying? It just certain
Yes.
things take a pivot, and now you start to realize like, okay, cool, I can still do houses, I can still do cars, but now I have a full perspective on it. Now I can offer solutions to other people. I can offer so much more. Like I'm good.
Yes.
I'm grateful.
Isn't it amazing? Because you mentioned like the system, and like they don't teach us this.
Hmm.
They don't teach us any of this and how it's more beneficial. It's definitely a road of just this is how you're supposed to do it, right? Supposed to.
Hmm.
And that's just what we believe until we start venturing out. We're like, wow, there is so much more opportunity out there with a lot of things that we do now.
Hmm.
And so, for people who haven't gotten there yet, what advice would you give them?
I would say keep on learning. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't get stuck in analysis paralysis. Like take some action for sure. But I mean, if you just coming into like realizing, yo, there's other ways to do it. Like, yo, don't let that spark die. I'm gonna tell you,
Yes.
like that's a rabbit hole. You're gonna need to change your perspective on it, especially now with AI taking over pretty much everything. It's like if you don't know how to be creative and create your own solution, the system is going to be completely automated. Bro. The system ain't
Yes.
gonna need you no more. The same system that been telling you need to do it a certain way to feed it is going to be the same system to cut you up. So if you don't know how to move around on your own and do things on your own, you ain't going to be able to survive like that. Use the resources and follow the people who
Yes.
give the most value, like Pace. There's plenty of others that are worth
Yes.
following. There's so many resources to go after, to learn and understand this game. Take some action and work with somebody who's already done what you're trying to do so you can learn faster.
Yeah. So, speaking of AI, how has that helped you? Kind of where you're at right now, and where do you see yourself? Where do you see it taking you?
Yeah, with AI is like it has helped accelerate a lot of what I've done. Like when we first started doing this, it was a lot of manual research, was staying on the phone with DMVs all across the country. Like we called all 50 states and went through a bunch of different DMVs and talked to a bunch of different insurance companies, claims adjusters, lawyers, talked to a bunch of different lenders, static research. Took a long time, but AI came in and helped really speed that up. It helped me build out the business a lot faster. Now with agents and things like that, things are moving a lot quicker. So it helps us prep for scaling so that we can do hundreds and hundreds of deals every month rather than going into 10. And I think with the power of AI and where it's going and where I see myself with it, like it's going to allow us to help resell our business in a box, help people understand like the process, and they can plug and play and not take the years of time that it took me to get to this point. Like I did my first deal in 2022. It's 25 now. I can give somebody like our whole process and stuff, and they can get started in 3 to 6 months. It's
Yeah.
completely different, to be able to just go ahead and start making real money and doing that. And I think with AI, the advent of it is super super fierce. And yeah, I nerd out on this every day. I'm on AI all day, damn near every day, outside of just doing the process of the business and taking Zoom calls. It's invaluable at this point, and I'm trying to make sure I'm using it so I don't get used by it.
Yes, absolutely. Man. Wow. So, thank you so much for coming on. This has been really, really good. How can listeners connect with you, learn more about what you're doing, and reach out to you?
Yeah, for sure. If you want to reach out, feel free to follow me on every platform at Mike Will Close It. Instagram, Facebook, I'm always on there. But other platforms, of course, YouTube. We're going to have a whole YouTube channel being built out. Mike Will Close It. You can go ahead and subscribe to me now early on. We do have more trainings coming available. You can join us in the official SubTo Car community. That's the Top Method. Facebook.com/group/Top Method. And feel free to reach out. DMs is wide open. If you're a seller looking to sell, you want to make sure you don't run into the wrong type of people. Likewise, for buyers, if you are looking for quality deals and you are looking for a situation where you don't have to scour the marketplace and send a billion messages to get one deal, go ahead and holler at us. We can go ahead and get you taken care of. So please feel free to reach out. More than happy to help you out, man.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for joining. Reach out to Mike Davis, especially if you have any questions. Learn about the process. There's other ways of doing things, and he's obviously showing you it's possible. So, thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you on the next one.